This morning we got our first look at 23XI's new race car, and Kyle Larson says he's not done racing dirt, even though he signed with Hendrick Motorsports. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Dang, this has turned into a very short week. The trucks race tonight at Martinsville, Xfinity tomorrow, and Cup, of course, on Sunday. There's a lot to get to between now and then. We're gonna catch up on a lot of the news from the last 24 hours. But before we talk about Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, before we talk about Kyle Larson, before we talk about some recent COVID positive tests that came out of Hendrick, we have to thank today's sponsor, Draft Top. This thing is pretty cool. Draft Top is actually the sponsor for this weekend's Xfinity race, the Draft Top 250 tomorrow on NBC. Let me show you guys what this is. Draft Top is the bar tool designed to remove the top of aluminum beverage cans. Now you can experience the full aroma of your drink right out of the can. It's 100% American made. It's easy to use. As you can see, it creates an incredibly smooth edge that safely turns your can into a cup. Remember, cans can go where glasses cannot, like the pool, the beach, the racetrack, of course. Everyone remembers their first race, and everyone remembers their first topless beer. So check out Draft Top at drafttop.com and get yours today. So first things first, I want to start with the big reveal this morning. Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace went on CBS this morning to give fans their first look at the brand new 23XI Racing. 23XI Racing, of course, is the Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin co-owned team. Aside from the fact that Michael Jordan is owning it and Bubba Wallace is going to drive the team, not much information has been confirmed about this team, but Denny Hamlin shed a little bit of light on details this morning. Here is the car they revealed this morning with 23XI Racing on the hood. You see the red and white, the 23 visible for the first time. I obviously don't think this is ever going to be a paint scheme that sees the racetrack. It will probably be coated with sponsors. But what this really does reveal is that yes, 23XI Racing, to no one's surprise, will be a Toyota team. This pretty much went without saying, but it's good to have it confirmed. Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, they've made it very clear that this is a separate team from Joe Gibbs Racing, but after the announcement today, it's pretty clear that the teams will be closely aligned, similar maybe to what Levine Family Racing is doing this year or what Furniture Row has done in years past. Now, today's announcement did not have anything to say about a crew chief or new sponsors or anything like that. Really, the big news was just, yes, this is a Toyota team. And we got kind of a look at maybe what the paint scheme's gonna look like. Again, I don't think it's gonna look exactly like that. They're gonna have sponsors on the car, but maybe that design is what they're looking at. I don't know. Anyway, Michael Jordan released this statement. My main goal for 23XI Racing is to be competitive for a championship as soon as possible. Our partnership with Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing gives us the equipment, resources, and expertise to do it. From Toyota as well, the Toyota relationship will also incorporate an agreement with Joe Gibbs Racing to allow 23XI Racing to purchase chassis and other services. So that, I guess, is kind of news. We weren't sure exactly how reliant this team would be on Joe Gibbs Racing. Now it sounds like it will be fairly heavily reliant on JGR, especially next season before the next gen car gets here. Again, not surprising, not shocking, but now we know for sure. Obviously, if 23XI Racing really is getting up-to-date JGR equipment more often than not, I think the expectations should be high next year. Again, we don't yet know the crew chief. We know Jerry Baxter, who's been working with Bubba Wallace this season, is staying at Richard Petty Motorsports. We know Rudy Fugle, who might have been one of the leading candidates to get promoted into the Cup Series. We know he's leaving for Hendrick. I don't know what options Toyota honestly has, which is probably why they have not announced anything yet. They're still shuffling through their decks, trying to find someone. But once the crew chief is announced, I'll feel somewhat confident making a prediction as to how I think Bubba Wallace and the 23 car are going to run next year. I definitely think if you're a Toyota racing development team aligned with JGR, playoffs should definitely be the goal. With most of the races next season, though, not featuring any practice or qualifying, it may be difficult for a new driver with a new team, a completely new team, to get off to a great start. There might be some growing pains the first couple months. It might be difficult for them to hit their rhythm, hit their stride right off the bat, but I certainly think playoffs should be the goal next year. But I will wait and finalize that prediction until we know who the crew chief is, because I think this year crew chiefs have mattered more than ever. And if next year is looking like a bunch of one-day shows, I think it's going to still be that way next season. So I want to know who the crew chief is first. But it's a Toyota team. Surprise. Denny Hamlin, also on CBS this morning, reiterated something that I heard a while back when talking about how this deal came together. He said the rumors that he and Michael Jordan were starting a team actually came before he and Michael Jordan ever had a conversation on the subject.
I think there were some rumors floating around about me and him being a part of a team to begin with. And he obviously said, fake news, but if you want to make a real news, let me know. So,
I don't want to take credit for anything here, but I was one of the, if not the most vocal proponent of the idea that Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin might be teaming up on something special. Remember, I did a video back in early August. At the time, the only rumors that were out there was that Richard Petty Motorsports, who Bubba Wallace drove for at the time, was talking to a celebrity investor. I think it turns out that celebrity investor was actually just Denny Hamlin. But at the time, I ran with it. I put 2 and 2 together. I thought, Michael Jordan in NASCAR just makes sense. So I talked about it, and we had a lot of fun in that video. I don't want to take too much credit for anything here, but perhaps the Groovy Gang, all of you watching at home, sharing, commenting that video, maybe we had a little something to do with bringing Michael Jordan into NASCAR. Again, I'm not going to take credit for it, but that is kind of funny that it sounds like the rumors started spiraling and then Hamlin went to Michael Jordan and Jordan was like, yeah, let's do it. All right, cool. I don't know. Pretty interesting how things work and come together, but very exciting. This is certainly going to be a high profile new team. They're already getting spots on CBS, Michael Jordan's involvement with a competitive NASCAR Cup Series team has the potential to be huge for NASCAR trying to grow its fan base into the coming years. You don't see too many NASCAR drivers these days landing spots on mainstream morning shows, so that's pretty cool. Now, before we talk about Kyle Larson, we do have to talk about some bad news. Yesterday, Hendrick Motorsports released a statement saying that earlier this week, several members of William Byron's pit crew were tested positive for COVID-19. So as a result, the entire pit crew was forced to miss the Wednesday postponed Texas Motor Speedway race. Instead, the team used a backup pit crew from JTG Doherty, which is actually apparently a Hendrick pit crew they loaned to JTG. So Byron had a backup pit crew at Texas this weekend, and it is expected that he will have a backup pit crew at Martinsville this weekend as well. In Hendrick Motorsports' statement, they say that they have detailed procedures in place to protect the health of their team members and is following guidelines from places like the CDC regarding the handling of these positive COVID-19 tests. So first and foremost, I want to wish the best to everyone on that pit crew who may be infected or maybe have been exposed to the disease. Hopefully all of them are able to come back healthy before long. I do want to give NASCAR and all the racetracks a good amount of credit for managing the past several months as well as they have. There have not seemingly been any major public health issues to have come out of any of these races or in the garage area or anything. So, so far, so good. NASCAR does deserve some credit, but hopefully all these crew members for Hendrick Motorsports turn out okay, and hopefully they are able to get back to the racetrack in time for Phoenix, hopefully, but wishing them the best, and we'll see what else comes out of it. Hopefully the spread was limited to just that one pit crew in this case, because if something like that did get widespread, if it infected the entire garage, even though there's only a couple races left, there is a chance that would cut the NASCAR season short or force NASCAR and its partners to start scrambling with scheduling. But it looks like right now it was fairly well contained, thank goodness. So, yeah, wishing them the best. We've almost made it to the finish line. Goodness gracious, what a crazy year. But last thing I want to talk about, Kyle Larson spoke to the media for a while yesterday. Of course, the big news at the beginning of this week, Kyle Larson will be returning to the NASCAR Cup Series next season. He's been reinstated, and he will drive for Hendrick Motorsports, effectively replacing Jimmy Johnson. But they've rebranded the car to the 5, so now Alex Bowman will be in the 48 next year. Kyle Larson will be in the 5. Still no word on potential sponsors. Hendrick reiterated yesterday that they currently have 0 sponsorships sold for Kyle Larson next season. A couple takeaways from Larson's press conference. First, he reiterated multiple times that he doesn't feel the penalty NASCAR gave him, suspending him back in April, he doesn't feel it was necessarily too harsh or even not harsh enough. Overall, Kyle Larson repeated a couple different times that he feels the penalty was justified. He says that racing dirt a lot this year, he would hear from fans all the time that, man, NASCAR really gave you the short end of the stick on that one. And Larson would often tell them that no, he felt like the way NASCAR handled everything was fair and justified. So just thought that was interesting putting that out there. The other comments he made that I found very interesting is that Larson said he has been given the okay from Rick Hendrick to continue racing sprint cars next year.
My priorities are here with Hendrick Motorsports and having my full focus on that. So yeah, I'll still be able to race, dirt stuff next season, but if there's meetings or anything going on revolved around my NASCAR commitments, then that's what comes first. So I'm thankful that they're letting me still run dirt stuff next year.
This was a big question coming into the season. Remember, coming into the season, I feel like the top 2 or 3 landing places for Larson was either Hendrick, Stewart-Haas Racing, there was a real possibility, or he could always have stayed at Chip Ganassi. That was also a possibility. And while Hendrick, I think, clearly is a fantastic opportunity, every kid's dream is to one day drive for Rick Hendrick at Hendrick Motorsports, the issue there was that Rick Hendrick, historically speaking, doesn't love when his Cup Series drivers go race non-NASCAR races. And Kyle Larson, all throughout his NASCAR career to this point, has frequently made the trip out to dirt tracks across the country, sometimes across the world, to race sprint cars middle of the week. Some weeks he'll be racing like 5 nights a week. Kyle Larson is a busy man, and as we talked about earlier this week, it's clear Larson's arguably his greatest passion is dirt racing. That's what he grew up doing. That's what he's always loved. Last week, it was announced that he is shutting down his World of Outlaws sprint car team at the end of this season, but a lot of you pointed out in my last video that when Larson races sprint cars, he usually does not drive for his own team. He's usually driving for other people. So that's a good point. Larson shutting down his World of Outlaws team is likely not going to affect his dirt schedule too much. But Rick Hendrick very well could have been the obstacle stopping him from racing dirt, but it sounds like Rick Hendrick, as long as it doesn't interfere with the Cup program, Larson's gonna be allowed to race a good amount of dirt races next season. So that's pretty key. This works out perfectly for Kyle Larson. I still do believe, honestly, that by signing with Hendrick Motorsports and given a lot of the things he said in recent months, I still believe Kyle Larson right now is extremely focused on being great in the NASCAR Cup Series. Obviously, his love for dirt racing is not gone, but I do expect we will see a more focused Kyle Larson in NASCAR next season. He's still gonna run dirt races. I don't know how many. He may not run 5 or 6 races a week like he's done before, but dirt fans are still gonna see him probably fairly regularly next season. So that's exciting, in my opinion, for motorsports fans to be able to watch Larson race any day of the week. That's awesome, because like I said in my video earlier this week, I think Kyle Larson is the most entertaining driver in NASCAR, or at least he was when he was racing in NASCAR, and I think he will be next season when he returns. And honestly, that's not just limited to the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR ovals and stuff. He's entertaining on dirt as well. He's entertaining pretty much in anything he drives. So this is a win for race fans of all types. The more races Kyle Larson is in my opinion, the better racing will be. So just thought that was interesting, because historically speaking, like I think back to Casey Kane, Rick Hendrick wasn't always a fan of Casey Kane running dirt races and would often limit his schedule. I think of him as a very high profile example. But hey, I don't know, I guess when you have a generational talent like Kyle Larson, you gotta give and take a little bit. And this is a case of Rick Hendrick, I think, giving a little bit more leeway to Kyle Larson than maybe he usually would. Really exciting to hear that for Larson. I still think he's gonna be great for Rick Hendrick next season. I think he's gonna have a fantastic season and perhaps a fantastic career with Hendrick Motorsports. That's really all I wanted to talk about today, cover those quick topics. Thank you all for watching. Going to be a very busy weekend of racing. Martinsville tonight, Martinsville tomorrow, Martinsville Sunday, Martinsville. I have another video planned here. You'll see it very shortly. Matt Tifft joined Out of the Groove to talk about his announcement last week that he and BJ McLeod are starting up a new NASCAR Cup Series team. He answered a bunch of questions about the team's goals, the team's future, how the behind the scenes of starting a new NASCAR Cup Series team works. He was really awesome to talk to, so you all will hear that very soon. Stay tuned. But that's all I've got for this episode. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. We talk NASCAR almost every single day. And as always, a huge thank you to my tremendous Patreon supporters. If you also want to support the show, you can check out that top link down in the description. And a big thank you again to Draft Top for sponsoring this episode of Out of the Groove and sponsoring the Xfinity race this weekend. They're supporting NASCAR, so you should support them. Link to their website, drafttop.com, is down in the description as well. That's gonna do it. I will see you all again very soon with that Matt Tifft interview. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Take care.